Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back for a Monday edition of the Steel City Sports Report, where we talk everything Steelers, Penguins, and Pirates. I am your host, Brady Vini, and what is going on, everyone? Another Pittsburgh sports weekend from hell, officially in the books. And this one, it might be one of the worst of all time, and that is no sort of exaggeration, because this weekend, every single Pittsburgh sports team that is of significant popularity in the city was just absolutely blown out. Just to recap, real quick, Pittsburgh Penguins, they lost Saturday night to the Toronto Maple Leafs, blown out at home 7-2. Then my Pitt Panthers, they lost 38-7 to the Miami Hurricanes. We're not all that competitive in that one. And then, of course, we are now approaching almost 24 hours removed from the Pittsburgh Steelers losing again in agonizing fashion, not showing up in the second half against the Buffalo Bills last night, falling to them 26-7. That's it. That's all. That's the show. Have a good rest of your night, ladies and gentlemen. Honestly, I'm just kidding. We do, even though we probably don't want to. We do need to talk about this. We'll all try to make some sense of everything that is going on if we can, if that's even a possibility. Here in a moment, we'll trudge through the recap of last night's bad movie that we keep on rewatching over and over again, known as the Pittsburgh Steelers playing football. After that, we will get into winners and losers from last night's Bills and Steelers game. Actually going to change the name of that, just losers of last night's Steelers-Bills game. There are no winners. After watching that last night, I don't know how you can name anyone a winner. Then we will get into some Pittsburgh Penguins talk, recapping their past two games and looking ahead to tonight's game. Puck Drop is going to be here in about an hour and a half against the hated Philadelphia Flyers. Lots to talk about before Puck Drop in that one. And to wrap up the show, we will, of course, get into extra Pittsburgh sports news with your guys' comments sprinkled in throughout the show, so make sure to get those in there. But before we get into this therapy session here on a Monday, if you are new here, of course, welcome to the live stream. On your way in, please hit that subscribe button. Just one click of the button would do wonders here on the channel. Also, turn on notifications so that you never miss a live stream or video on this channel again. Also, go leave a like, share this live stream so we can get more viewers in here, and in the comments section, leave any thoughts, questions, opinions that you want. I can always come back here to the comments section, pop those up on screen at a moment's notice, just like this, and we can interact that way. Also, go give the channel a follow on Facebook, Instagram, and X at Steel City SR, and be sure to come back in later tonight for a new edition of SR60. Like I said, really not a whole lot of good to talk about here on this Monday. One of the worst weekends in Pittsburgh sports in quite some time. So let's just dive right in and get through all of it here tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Let's start with, of course, the Pittsburgh Steelers. The talk of the town, as always. Last night, an absolute horrendous game played by them. Let's just go with a quick recap of that you-know-what show. I actually promise that I will try to keep things short here. To begin the game, minus Brandon Eccles for the Steelers picking off the ball on the first drive of the game. He picked off Josh Allen. We witnessed the most uneventful first quarter of the entire season from the Pittsburgh Steelers. 6 combined possessions to start the game. 5 of those ended in punts. Just absolute boring, monotonous football. That punting contest was eventually broken up early in the second quarter. Bills running back James Cook fumbled the football. That fumble forced by Nick Herbig, recovered by Patrick Queen. Spoiler alert, James Cook, that was his only real negative of the night. He really turned up the heat after that. Steelers then, they did something that they've actually been oddly decent at so far this season, putting up points off of turnovers. 6 plays, 39 yards. That was their following drive after the interception. It was capped off with a 1-yard punch-in TD run for Jalen Warren. And for those of you wondering, don't worry, Indeed, after that, Jalen Warren, he was on the sideline more than he was the field for the rest of the night. The Bills offense, they then responded in the right way. A long, time-consuming drive to gain rhythm on offense. 16 plays, took over 7 minutes off the clock, and the Bills, they ended up kicking a short field goal with 55 seconds left in the second quarter. Buffalo, on those 16 plays, they ran the ball 11 times, and they almost got into the end zone, but a false start penalty forced them to settle for 3. That consistency running the football would be a sign of terrible things to come for this Steelers defense. At halftime, we found the Steelers in a position that they have been in a lot this season. Up 1 score, heading into halftime, and scheduled to get the ball back to start the second half. Now, that is a very favorable situation to be in for 31 teams in the NFL. The one team that is not mentioned as that situation being favorable for them, of course, is the Pittsburgh Steelers. I called it in real time last night on the live stream, watching and reacting to that game. Said I was not feeling confident about the Steelers heading into the second half just because, of what they have done this season. And unfortunately, well, you know what happened after that. They pretty much rolled over and died. Very first play of the second half for the Steelers. They elected not to get the ground game going again, but instead put the ball in the hands of a banged up Aaron Rodgers. Rodgers, he drops back to pass, is immediately under pressure, gets absolutely destroyed on a blindside hit from Joey Bosa that cuts his nose. He fumbles the ball, and the loose pigskin is picked up by Christian Benford and ran back for a touchdown. One play, I don't even think, 10, 15 seconds ran off the clock in the second half. And already the Bills changed the momentum of the game for good. And as if that's, moment, in that moment, if you're the Steelers fan, you can pretty much turn off the TV and go to bed because you all knew it was downhill from there. But wait, there was more from the Steelers offense. Mason Rudolph, he comes into the game as Aaron Rodgers gets his nose repaired on the sideline. We all thought, great, Rudolph coming off the game he had against the Chicago Bears. We were all excited to see that. 4 plays. Mason Rudolph's second pass attempt of the game. Pretty much similar to his first pass of the Bears game, looking deep down the sideline for a big body receiver. This time it was Darnell Washington, and Rudolph overshoots him. It's picked off by the man who just scored a touchdown moments ago in Christian Benford. And that was absolutely horrendous by Mason Rudolph, and the Bills offense, they then predictably ran it right down the Steelers' throat with the help of James Cook. They kept the ball on the ground 6 out of 8 plays on that drive. It was capped off with a touchdown pass to Keon Coleman, which that's also pretty hilarious. I did not mention this last night on stream, but I believe Keon Coleman, former first round, maybe second round pick for the Buffalo Bills, he's been in some hot water with the Bills recently for some sort of reason, hasn't been getting on the field all that much, was even healthy scratched for a game or two. Now, kind of like every other team, it's a get-right game if you have any sort of issues against this Steelers defense. Coleman catches a touchdown pass. The Bills missed an extra point, which kept the game at 16-7, but who the hell cared? Steelers offense, they responded, now down in the game by 2 scores with a 3-and-out featuring terrible play calling, the exact response that you would expect from the Steelers offense. That was then followed up by another long Bills drive ending in the end zone. Again, it was the Bills running backs roaming freely up the field, and they then punched it into the end zone. This time it was Josh Allen using his legs, and he, with the help of an offensive lineman, overpowered 3 or 4 Steelers defenders, was initially stopped at about the 3-yard line and then pretty much got picked up and pushed into the end zone after that. Scrambling to keep their hopes alive, now down 23-7 in the fourth quarter. The Steelers offense actually moved the ball quite fluidly on offense until they got into Bills territory, of course. They then turned the ball over on downs on a need to convert 4th and 2 in Bills territory. Someone on the Steelers offense thought it was a good idea to put Kenneth Gainwell in the game and put the ball in his hands in that moment. And very predictably, that play failed. To put the Steelers out of their misery, Bills, they killed off 9 minutes of clock in the fourth quarter on 14 plays. The Bills' drive stalled, if you can call it that. I think, they honestly gave up. If they wanted to keep continuing down the field, they honestly could have. They end up settling for 3 when they were well into field goal range. That made it 26-7, and that was the final score. Again, the Steelers spoiling a halftime lead, but this time they played their worst 30 minutes of football that I have ever witnessed. And when I said, at halftime, I did not feel good about the Steelers having a lead and getting the ball back coming out of half, that thought perfectly vindicated, because that is now the 4th time this season that the Steelers have had a lead at halftime and have blown it. They had a 14-7 lead against the Seattle Seahawks in week 2, ended up losing that game 31-17. They led the Green Bay Packers 16-7 at halftime a couple Sunday nights ago, lost that game 35-25. They led the Chicago Bears just last week 21-17 at halftime, ended up blowing that game 31-28. And the Steelers in this one, of course, leading 7-3 at half, losing to the Bills 26-7. Not a single point scored by the Steelers in the second half. Most of those games, you could read that and say, oh, the defense is terrible. But in this one, make no mistake about it, the offense, more realistically, the quarterbacks, they threw this game away. It went to hell in a handbasket pretty, immediately as soon as Rodgers fumbled that ball, and just nothing good coming from this game whatsoever. Everyone in that Steelers organization, from the head honcho, Mike Tomlin, to Art Rooney, to the players, to the strength and conditioning staff, chefs, everyone who has a key card to get into that building, that UPMC Rooney Sports Complex, they should all be embarrassed beyond measure today. But we all know that nothing is really going to change. They might throw, lipstick on a pig in some way, shape, or form, but we all know it's going to be pretty much the same thing next week. So it's not even all that worth getting too upset or raising your blood pressure over. Speaking of over, I think you can guarantee that the season is over right now. Anything going on with this team, it cannot be fixed in season. There are too many large macro issues that take a long, long time to be fixed. So the season is over. Massive changes need to happen. There is no alternative. But hey, at least the quieter portion of the fan base is now starting to wake their asses up. Later stages of last night's game, Steelers fans in attendance, they both booed Renegade, which, I understand. I don't blame them, because who the hell would believe in any way that this defense was going to get a stop last night? And also, there was a small, but still, videos out there show that it actually happened, a Fire Tomlin chant, which I am completely shocked that it took this long for a Fire Tomlin chant to break out in Acrisure Stadium. We've heard chants across the other, Pittsburgh sports teams. It wasn't, too many years ago that Penguins fans, after maybe a season and a half, started chanting Fire Hextall for the Penguins to get rid of general manager Ron Hextall. This past year in baseball, the growing frustrations of fans seeing the Pirates waste Paul Skeens finally boiled over. Fire Nutting chants, or sell the team chants for Bob Nutting finally broke through. But now, finally, it has come to Acrisure Stadium. You had the Fire Canada chants, that was one thing. But Fire Tomlin chants, about damn time, if I had to say so, because that, what that was last night, that's just inexcusable. It is absolutely demoralizing, and it desecrates the heritage, the history, everything that the Pittsburgh Steelers are known for historically. It just cannot happen. Also, all day long today and even a little bit last night, you've heard from former players of both the Steelers and just former NFL players in general. You've heard multiple fans. Now you've heard multiple football analysts on ESPN, CBS, all of that. They're all finally starting to wake up and realize, hey, maybe Mike Tomlin should be on the hot seat for the Steelers. Maybe he isn't the right head coach for the Pittsburgh Steelers anymore. My response to that took you guys freaking long enough, especially, those national talking heads that defend Tomlin. Oh, he's going to get a job, 5 minutes after you let him go. Fine. Let him get a job 5 minutes after we let him go, because I'd rather, go into the unknown right now with nothing but, a bottle of water and a stick than I will, sitting here again throughout the next 3 years, because I believe that's how many years Tomlin has left on his contract. I'd rather do that and go test the, unknown waters, stretch the borders of the map, than to just settle in complacency and see this same bad script occur year after year. It needs to happen. Tomlin needs to go. We're going to get into that more here in a minute in the loser segment. And, somehow through all this, the Steelers 6-6 on the season now. And unbelievably, because, the AFC especially, it is absolutely drunk beyond belief this season. The Steelers and Ravens somehow both at 6-6. They are going to face each other next weekend, and it will, by some work of God, be a fight for the AFC North Division lead. So I'm sure we're all very excited after watching last night's game to see how that goes down. Just a couple of other loose tidbit notes before we get into the losers from last night's Steelers game. We did hear from a few members of the Steelers organization after last night's game, who I'm sure fans were super jazzed to hear from. Head coach Mike Tomlin post-game said, quote, "Not a lot needs to be said. That was an awful performance. We didn't do a lot well tonight." Yeah, no Sherlock right there. Tomlin also was asked about the chance for his firing, responding with, "I share their frustration tonight. We didn't do enough." Do you share our frustration, Mike? Do you? I don't think you don't. You don't. Probably where your frustration is at, you got to go a whole, 300,000 feet high to reach our level of frustration. We also got some spicy answers from quarterback Aaron Rodgers post-game. First, addressed his wrist injury. He said that he was not ready to take snaps under center. In last night's game, we knew that he was not going to be under center really at all. Last night, Jay Glazer, before the game, putting out there that we were going to see Rodgers in the shotgun and pistol a bunch. Rodgers did say hopefully he will be able to get under center next week. Not sure it's going to make all that difference, but hey, good luck with that. He also said that his nose injury, the bridge of it, cut on a Joey Bosa strip sack. Said that hopefully his nose is not broken. Guess it looked all right. Put a couple of, bandage strips on there, but was still leaking throughout the rest of the game. On the on-field performance, Rodgers said it was, quote, "a boo-worthy performance." Also said that the energy and tempo in practice last week was not good, so calling out the Steelers and what all they did leading up to this game throughout last week. And he also said that an errant pass in the second half, that was to no one in the middle of the field, was a miscommunication between he and Jonnu Smith. Rodgers, of course, did take credit for the bad pass, but stated that he audibled to Smith to run towards the middle of the field where he threw the ball, which, if you remember back to that play, it would have been a touchdown. Instead, Smith broke out towards the sideline. Rodgers upset with that, maybe throwing Smith under the bus there. I think, people are going to run with that, saying, oh, look, here's Rodgers, the cancerous Aaron Rodgers again, calling people in the locker room, throwing them under the bus again. tell me, is he really all that out of pocket for saying that? I sure don't think so, especially with the absolutely horrid season Jonnu Smith is having. At that same time, Rodgers in his press conference also took a decent dig, saying that every receiver needs to show up for film sessions. So he alluding that not everyone shows up for film sessions, and maybe that has been an ongoing thing throughout the season. It seems like once or twice every game when Rodgers is out there, he makes a pass that's incomplete. He's always, pointing to his receiver, telling them, you were supposed to do this, something like that. So Rodgers, I guess, maybe calling some people out subtly through the media without naming names, saying, hey, get your asses in the room and start getting on this film so we can be a better unit. Don't blame Rodgers there. The defensive leaders, TJ Watt, Cam Hayward, they also spoke. Talking about Buffalo's running game, TJ Watt said, quote, I've never seen a team run the same play that much and have that kind of success. Now that is a hell of a damning quote from TJ Watt, your highest paid player on defense. Because again, later half of the season now, the run defense, I should say, absolutely falling apart for the Steelers. And that performance last night from the Bills, it looked eerily similar to last year's wild card game against the Baltimore Ravens, where you knew they were going to hand the ball off to the running back and you weren't going to be able to stop them. Then it was Derrick Henry. Last night, it was James Cook for the most part. And also, that quote really hits hard because I remember when it wasn't, that far in the past where you've heard former Steelers offensive linemen like your Ramon Fosters and Marquise Pouncey's and that, when they would used to say, hey, we would go up against, the Bengals defense or whatever, and we'd pretty much run the same play 9 times straight and they wouldn't be able to stop it. So how the turntables have turned. The Steelers, they always used to be the team that could run the ball at will and you had no prayers chance of stopping it. Now the rules reversed and they could not stop, the Kool-Aid man for how big he is if he was, running there last night. Or better yet, I take that damn sloth from Zootopia. I'm not even sure the Steelers could tackle him without gaining 5 yards. So just a damning quote there from TJ Watt. Also referred to last night's game as an ass kicking in all areas, pretty much on par with what Mike Tomlin and Aaron Rodgers said, and was asked something along the lines of, do you have the answers in the room on how to fix what's going on defensively? Basically said that the defense always talks about all the talent that they have in that room, which they do. Highest paid defense they've acquired some nice talent over the years, some guys who have long resumes either here or elsewhere in the league of success, but also said that this is not a kick-ass defensive group right now, which very obvious thing to say. Mentioned Cam Hayward. He also spoke, didn't really care for what he had to say about the game. Did fire back, I guess, a little bit at Aaron Rodgers, and Rodgers saying, no, we had a poor practice week. Hayward wasn't, biting on that hook, saying, go ask Aaron about that. Hayward did, though, point out that Josh Allen in the second quarter need him in the stomach, and that is what set Hayward off on a rampage that didn't result in all that much production like what you would expect for the rest of the game. So Allen kneeing Hayward in the stomach. Hayward, that was in his head the rest of the night. He didn't do much after that. And just to wrap up last night's tragic comedy, Steelers, they lost James Pierre and Patrick Queen at least to injury. Pierre into concussion protocol. Queen, he left with, at the time, a reported hip injury that was confirmed today to be a lower back bruise that hopefully will not be long-term. So 2 guys who have been better in recent weeks for the Steelers. Queen, I think, you go back the past 3 weeks, hasn't missed all that many tackles, hasn't been a liability in pass coverage. Pierre, he's been pretty much the Steelers' best corner overall this season. Both of those guys going down with injury last night. I think when Queen went down, Peyton Wilson got the green dot. I'm not going to blame the third and fourth quarter collapse of the defense on Wilson being the hub of communication out there, so I'll give him a break there. But hopefully they're okay, and yeah, just another embarrassing, numbing night for Steelers fans that looks all too similar anymore to the previous game. They're all just starting to blend together anymore, and it's very, very frustrating to watch and to go through every day. So, yeah, sucks right now. The dark age era, whatever you want to call it, that we are in across, all of professional Pittsburgh sports right now, just keeps on getting darker with the past weekend headlined by that Steelers game. Here in a moment, we're going to keep things chugging along here on this Moping Monday. We're going to get into losers from last night's Steelers-Bills game. Before we do that, let's go to the comments section. Recapping the game, getting in my initial thoughts. Bought you guys a little bit of time. We do have some comments in the comments section, 2 regulars here on the program, especially on days like these. Al on the Prowl, what is going on? THP, I see you in here as well. Al on the Prowl here. Pittsburgh Steeler fans are not used to this. This kind of things happen to other teams. Yeah, seeing what that happened last night. What I should clarify is we're used to the Steelers, no lead is safe. They're going to blow things in the second quarter now. But yeah, definitely them, getting the ball ran on them at will, and it's coming. That's frustrating because the Steelers used to be the team doing that. This Steelers offense that every yard gain, it's as difficult as pulling a tooth. We used to, our defense used to cause that for the opposing offense, not the other way around. It's just very frustrating. It's almost one of those, the more things change, the more they stay the same. The ways that these games are going, the script is the same, but the Steelers, they're on the receiving end of most of the bad luck and terrible play than they are than the other team is. So definitely frustrating. Al on the Prowl, again, I like Tomlin, was a great coach for us. It's just not working anymore. This team needs its identity back. I agree with that, Al on the Prowl. I'm sort of going to dissect your comment here in 2 pieces. First, Tomlin, great coach for us. Absolutely. I want to be one of those. I think it's becoming more rarer type of Steelers fans where I'll give Tomlin his flowers a little bit. He is a good coach. He's a hell of a motivator, wordsmith. Obviously, players love playing for him, and having, however many, I think they popped up the graphic last night, going on 21 straight seasons now, might be 22 after this season of seasons below 500. That is a hell of a feat. But at the same time, great coaches, it can also be time for, an organization to move on from him. I keep going back to this comparison, but it's starting to seem similar and similar as the weeks go along here. We just went through this in hockey with the Pittsburgh Penguins. Mike Sullivan, probably the greatest coach in Penguins history. I believe he leads the franchise in all-time wins, 2-time Stanley Cup champion. Had those teams playing phenomenal hockey when he took over. Now you look back the past couple of seasons when Sullivan was with the Penguins, this team looked like it had no juice, had no spark. Every single game looked the same, where they were, blowing third period leads or giving up goals in the final minute or first minute of periods. It was the same thing night in, night out. And that eventually led to a change. The Pens, they moved on in a different direction. Now, look, the Penguins, they are, I wouldn't say in a better place quite yet, because they are coming out of a absolutely horrendous month of November after a hot start to the season. So they're kind of middle of the pack right now. But they're in a better spot overall as a franchise because now they seem to be clearly moving in one direction. They're going with a youth movement. They've already had, I think, 9 rookies, suit up for them this year. They're going in a younger direction, and I think they're going to have a 10th rookie in the lineup tonight against the Philadelphia Flyers. I'll reveal who that is here in a minute. But yeah, definitely agree with that. We just saw it happen with the Penguins. Great coaches. It could be time for them to move on. That is definitely true. And this team needs its identity back. Identity of, being a tough to play against team. No team, doesn't matter if it's in Acrisure Stadium or on the road, no team fears the Pittsburgh Steelers anymore. No team fears coming to Acrisure Stadium. No team fears that this offense is going to put up, 30 points on you anymore, like what we saw pushing a decade ago now with Big Ben and the Killer Bees. It's just, very frustrating. Their identity is gone. They don't even know what their identity is. I guess the closest thing you can have to an identity at this point with the Steelers is that they're a team that barely shows up in the first half of games and then completely, takes the rest of the night off, gets a Uber out of the stadium at halftime. Maybe that's their identity, but they do need to get back to being a team that does not quit, shows fight and effort, no matter how the game is going, down in, down out, and a team that's not going to quit and is going to punch you in the mouth out there on the field. Not literally punch you in the mouth, but you know what I mean. What coach can be brought in to do that? I don't know. I don't really want to get all into, who could the next Steelers head coach be, because first we got to get the current coach out of here, which is hell of a task. It's like, me going out there and pulling a monster truck in neutral. But yeah, agree with pretty much everything you said there, Al. I have really not all that much issue with it. THP in here again. Anybody bought a Mitchell and Ness power play jersey? They have a Super Mario 92 Pens and Lindros Flyers. I'm debating on buying 101 a piece plus free shipping. That sounds pretty nice there, THP. I have heard of Mitchell and Ness. Don't have any of their jerseys yet. I'm hoping to get one here in the not too distant future, but for not all that much criticism over Mitchell and Ness. A couple of other commenters in here on the way in, starting to get more and more of you in here. We got Concepts in here. I see Tyrone, he is in here as well. Concepts, Super Bowl bound, 11-6 record incoming. You did this same bit last night too there, Concepts, the old putting on the clown face. Anybody who's believing in this team that they're going to magically turn it around, or that Tomlin is, still the right coach for the Steelers, you can, put that clown makeup on your face too and follow him out of town when he goes, because this is absolutely horrendous right now. And it's just, unbelievably bad. THP here. I did hear on a pod 2 days ago from either the guys at Pro Football Talk, Mike Florio, Chris Sims, or Jay Glazer, that word is long-term veteran coach is looking to move teams, but wasn't identified. I do know what you're talking about there, THP, and actually we're going to get into the losers segment, the losers from last night's game here in a moment. I believe it was, trying to remember, was it Diana Rossini who brought that up? Let me look here. No, close. Josina Anderson. She brought that up, I believe, on, what was it? It was Friday? Or no, Thursday. It was, Thursday last week, I believe. Wait, was it? No, it was Tuesday, Tuesday last week. Josina Anderson, she brought that up. I did see that a long-term head coach is looking for a change of scenery. I'll bring that up here in a second when I mention the top loser of last night's game. Pretty sure you all could predict exactly who that is. But yeah, I'm hoping that it's the guy we're all thinking of, because something's got to change in a real hurry, and that would be a very pleasant surprise. Concepts here again: Flacco, Rodgers, and Neil O'Donnell all still playing all past the age of 40 as well. You did bring that up last night, that Neil O'Donnell, after halftime, put on an Aaron Rodgers jersey, went out there for one play, then was able to put on the Mason Rudolph jersey and throw a pick 4 plays later. That is still pretty accurate sounding. Tyrone Keaton in here, fast and to the point right here. Fire Tomlin, Arthur Smith, Terrell Austin, draft a quarterback, left tackle, DB safety, guard, clean house, over it. Agree with, I think, most of that. And I want to clarify that it needs to happen in that order for anything really to come good out of this whole situation. Tomlin needs to go, of course, because he's the guy who controls everything here. Arthur Smith afterwards, his offense, I think it's even become worse than the Steelers' defense at this point. Terrell Austin, yeah, he can go puppet man to Mike Tomlin, and when he does have, full control of the defense, it's not much better. And then once those guys are gone, then I would say draft a quarterback, because you draft a quarterback right now, I am all aboard the idea that you cannot spend a high draft pick on a quarterback until you get Tomlin out of here. Because what have we learned from watching how this offense operates? And what have we learned from, the past 5-6 years, really, ever since Big Ben retired, of what this offense is? You cannot trust Mike Tomlin, a defensive-minded head coach to boot, to identify the right talent in a young quarterback before drafting him, and then to develop that talent and make that potential a reality after the fact. I don't think Tomlin can do either, especially the second one. Any, rookie he's going to bring here, he's going to have the training wheels on them until they're, 35, and then maybe Tomlin will allow him to throw over the middle of the field instead of just, always taking check downs, keeping the ball safe, not, trying to make a play. Let the defense make all the plays instead of you make the plays. So just, more here from Tyrone. Cam needs to refit. Queen can go. Cam, I think that was an absolutely terrible game from him last night. His worst of the season. Allen got in his head for whatever may have happened on that one tackle, and Cam was pretty ineffective for the rest of the night. Queen, got hurt. I'm not going to kick a guy while he's down, hurt from last night's game. Was better as of the past couple of weeks, but you look overall this season, he pretty much with everyone else on roster for the Steelers, not producing to the level of what their paycheck reads. Concepts in here again. I was Tomlin playing QB yesterday. Might be the first time I ever saw a head coach suit up and play quarterback. Has that ever happened? The way Aaron Rodgers looked at times, and what we saw there from Mason Rudolph, Tomlin might as well have been in there. Cam can retire. Okay, I see what you were clarifying there, Tyrone. Brady may step in for Geno Smith soon. JK LOL. Tom Brady, honestly, not even Tom Brady in his prime, I think, would be able to save this Steelers team right now. That's how bad things have become. Looking here again, Truth Thong in here. Welcome, Truth Thong. Tomlin 6-11 in his last 17 games, going back to last year. That might be the final record for the Steelers this season, Truth. So forget the last 17 games. Honestly, I could realistically, at this point, see a path where the Steelers lose the rest of their games on the schedule. You got Baltimore twice, which I know those games are toss-up, as is pretty much every AFC North game. But could the Ravens, find a way to shut down the Steelers offense and run the ball with Derrick Henry, who's looking like Derrick Henry again down the Steelers' throats again. I think that could happen twice. Then you got the Miami Dolphins. They have been an improved team from the beginning of the season, and it's a primetime game, so you can put the Steelers behind the 8 ball already, most likely to lose. And then you also got the Browns and the Detroit Lions. Detroit, even though they're not looking as good as they once were, I still think that, they're going to get right against the Steelers, and you'll see like Jahmyr Gibbs have 150 yards rushing. Jared Goff will have 3 touchdown passes, stuff like that. And that'll be a bad game. And then Cleveland, it's Cleveland. Maybe the Steelers win that game. I put a strong maybe because that game will be in Cleveland. So, just 6-11. Truly a possibility for the Steelers record to end up being that at season's end. Looking for some more comments here. THP still talking about some cards and memorabilia in the comment section. Looking to snag a Connor Griffin card. Seems to have a lot of upside. Maybe gets called up late next year. Talking about Connor Griffin, I would love to get one of his cards, but I don't even think you will be needing to wait till late next year to see him, THP. We've talked about it the past couple of weeks here on the channel. The Pirates apparently are going to give him a shot to win the Major League shortstop spot out of spring training. So you could see the 19-year-old phenom playing in PNC Park in March and April, and not needing to wait till June or July. Excited about that. Concepts here again. People say the middle of the field. People say about the middle of the field, but honest question: who's open? Why would he allow it on the last drive, but not the rest of the game? Not arguing, just a genuine question. I can't answer. I'll try to answer. I guess a couple times, the middle of the field, Rodgers targeted, had one big play. I think to Darnell Washington, maybe to the middle of the field. But who is open? I think more than what we realize, without watching the all 22. I doubt that there's many guys coming open early in their routes at all with this team, just because of the personnel they got. They got one big guy in DK Metcalf and a bunch of smaller guys who can't use their shiftiness and speed to get open. So, that's annoying. And then the rest are tight ends who never get thrown to. Concepts here. Dan Orlovsky and all of the other media has the Steelers going 0-6 in the first 6 weeks and then not winning more than 4. Now they all switched up. Did we overachieved so far then? 0-6, maybe Dan Orlovsky had the 0-6 stretch at the wrong end of the season, because that might be the case here with the Steelers. Also, wasn't there something I saw on Twitter last night saying, Dan Orlovsky should be the next head coach of the Steelers? Like, would it make headlines? Yes. Am I all that interested in it? Not at the moment. I do like Dan Orlovsky, but I don't want to have a guy coming from, a desk and right into a coaching spot. I'd rather go get a higher profile young offensive coordinator from some other place than Orlovsky at the moment. Another comment here from Truth Thong. Calvin Austin is Nolan Swan, needs to learn how to jump. I think you're referring to the one play last night. I believe it was the Steelers' first drive of the game where Austin was in tight coverage with someone and ended up having his arm pulled and was able to get one hand on the ball. Definitely could get more vertical there, but Nolan Swan, hell, he might not even be just name a middle of the road Steeler wide receiver. He might not even be a Juju Smith-Schuster at this point. Kenny didn't know how to. Mitch was a turnover machine. Mason had 3 good games without Canada against weak defenses. Russ never threw over the middle of the field. Fields isn't a quarterback, and Rodgers, I don't know at this point. And who is responsible for bringing in all of those guys there? Concepts goes back to Mike Tomlin. Tomlin was, along with Kevin Colbert, pounding the table for Kenny Pickett. Mitch Trubisky, they signed him in free agency. Mason was kept on the bench, and then, those 3 good games, I think he was playing because the way he was playing, he had nothing to lose. And then Justin Fields, they traded for him, and Russell Wilson turned into Russell Wilson, and seems like Aaron Rodgers is about ready to ride off into the sunset here. So definitely, it's a terrible list of quarterbacks there, Concepts. Drew Thong here again. Time to fire sticks. Depressed fans were walking out, and they start that crap. I'm going to spoil one of my losers coming up here in a second. I definitely have the video board operations crew at Acrisure Stadium as a loser. Just read the room. No one wants to get their hopes up or use their energy for sticks at that point. We all knew the game was over. Just put it away for a brighter day, and yet they still hit it. But it deserved to be lose. Talk about, Steelers needing to get back to their identity. Renegade has lost all of its magic and energy that it once had. That's for sure. Mark Tobin in here. Welcome, Mark. Calvin Austin, 5'8", not a jump ball guy with him. And him and Wilson are runners in space. They run routes that give them space. This is coaching. Tell me, when they have been given those opportunities to run routes and, gain space for themselves, have they been able to do it? I sure as hell haven't seen that. DK, not a jump ball guy either. Yak guy, stop with the fade routes. I do agree with that. Definitely have underutilized DK Metcalf getting the ball in his hands on the run, stuff like that. Lately, it's been go balls with him and other stuff and screens, which has been not his forte this season. Tons of comments from you guys coming in here right now on this Monday where we're laying everything out on the line, laying it all out, talking about it because things are just absolutely horrendous right now. And the best thing we can do to get through it is, instead of bottling it up, get it all out there, empty the bag of complaints right now. Colbert and Kahn, kind of like when Coward said heck no to drafting Ben, and Colbert drafted him anyways. I remember that story there. Right, Tomlin wanted all these jabronis through the years. He's the man behind the curtain, the non-wizard. Agreed there, Truth. Let the guys catch the ball in stride. Even that, catching the ball in stride, I don't think Aaron Rodgers, even Mason Rudolph for that fact, has put the ball on the money in stride too many times this year. They've been lower in that department. Fields rivals Kyler Murray in terms of high school quarterback God mode. Murray went to a high school in my area, but neither seemed to have transitioned. Don't put Kyler Murray in the comments section because he might be a Steelers quarterback here soon enough. Seems like Arizona Cardinals might be done with him soon. Another comment here from Rans87. Another basically spot on quarterback situation. Yep, it's more and more of the same. Quarterback who's got severe deficiencies in his game that will eventually, by the time you hit halfway through the season, come flying off the rails. True Thong here. Do Steelers have a quarterback coach? Yes, they do. Tom Arth. What does he do? I have no idea. I don't mean that as a shot to him. It's just what he does on a day-to-day operation. It's unknown to me. Don't know what all he does for a veteran who's played 2 decades in the NFL like an Aaron Rodgers. I can tell you that much. GMs draft players, coaches give insight, but GMs and scouts make the picks. The Ben draft has convinced me of this. Belichick was the only head coach, GM all in one. I think Tomlin has more and more pull than what you believe. Remember, the coaches do get their inputs. They give the general manager the shopping list. It's up to the general manager to give the coaches what they want. If the coach says, "Hey, I think if you give me this guy, I can get the best out of him compared to this guy," the general manager isn't going to say, "No, you're getting this guy because I said so." I don't think that's really going to be how it works here. They may need a quarterback whisperer type. They could use another quarterback coach, honestly, because I think, what was it, Big Ben on his podcast a couple of years ago or something like that, he said that, the Steelers didn't really have a quarterback coach all the time. I think even for a year or two, there was no quarterback coach for Ben. But when he went to the Pro Bowl, it was like every other team in the NFL where you got, 2, 3, 4 guys in the quarterback's room helping out the QBs. So, they definitely could use more thoughts and opinions for the quarterbacks, both, how to get them ready for games and develop them. That's definitely true there. Truth. More here. Outside of Sam Darnold, who chose the Seahawks? I'm struggling to name a single quarterback option. The last 5 years, that was a quality quarterback. Teams don't let QBs leave or fall in the draft. Definitely mentioned Sam Darnold there. He is having a good season with Seattle. I just believe at this point that even if he were to come here, you definitely see more Carolina Panther, New York Jet Sam Darnold than you would Seattle Seahawk, Minnesota Viking Sam Darnold. I don't think that's too far of a stretch of a comment to make. So, just more terribleness everywhere you look. There's an issue with this team, and absolutely sucks. And speaking of sucking, while you guys continue to keep your comments rolling in the chat, I am finally going to get things back moving along here on the channel. Bringing up losers from last night's Steelers and Bills game. I would usually have some winners in here after a win, but today there are none. The only way, if you're a Pittsburgh Steeler, that you could maybe be considered as a winner is if you are not mentioned at all, because after last night's game, I'm not going to highlight really anything positive with this team. Loser, number one from last night's game, Mike Tomlin. I believe someone a moment ago just brought up the whole report that there's a long-term head coach that could be looking for a change of scenery in the offseason. I sure as hell hope that that's Mike Tomlin, because this has gotten so bad. It's beyond just saying, the message is stale. It's that the building is on fire and everyone has thrown away the fire extinguishers at this point. It's just absolute malpractice by Mike Tomlin that the same issues keep occurring over and over and over again for the Steelers, with no change being taken, no substantial changes whatsoever. Just going to go over here a couple of stats from last night's game, and these are in no real particular order, but they do come back. They do ultimately fall back on Mike Tomlin. The Pittsburgh Steelers, now in their last 6 quarters of football, have been outscored 40-14. 40-14 in their last 6 quarters of football. That is not good. The start, fire Tomlin chance, those starting, those definitely are warranted. The Steelers, this is sort of me. My second loser, by the way, it's going to be Arthur Smith. What I'm saying here, it's sort of combining Smith and Tomlin together in some of these cases. The Steelers last night, they have now gone 62 games straight without scoring 7 points of offense or more in the first quarter. That is an NFL record. It's actually 64 games if you count the playoffs as well. The Steelers in the third quarter last night, when the game fell completely apart, in that quarter, the Steelers, they ran 8 offensive plays for a total of 3 net yards and 2 turnovers. What did the Buffalo Bills do? They had 20 plays of offense for 132 yards. That's something. Also, last night, time of possession, Bills more than doubled the Steelers in the TOP department. Bills almost 42 minutes of possession time. The Steelers just 1 second over 18 minutes of possession. And the Bills, they held the ball by that judge of time for almost 3 full quarters. The Bills last night, they had 16 rushing first downs, and that is the most that the Steelers have allowed in a game since I think it was 1975. First time this century that has happened to the Steelers. There's Mike Tomlin's run defense there for you. The Bills last night, 249 rushing yards. They were the most by any opposing team in Pittsburgh since 1975. There's that stat. The Buffalo Bills, they rushed for 310 yards back on September 28th, 1975. So this is a long time, 50 years, since the Steelers have had the ball ran on them that much. You want to know who the running back was back then for the Bills? A man who the gloves certainly do not fit. Maybe they do. I don't know. A man who loves driving Broncos. The Juice himself, O.J. Simpson. He ran for 227 rushing yards that day. And now, 50 years later, James Cook putting up similar numbers. Speaking of James Cook, by the way, you want to talk about how terrible this rushing defense was for the Steelers. Please take a look at this chart. This is horrifying. Look at this run chart for James Cook. Everywhere he ran, he had success. Didn't matter if he ran it to the left, to the right, or right up the gut, which you see the gut here. This streak right here, that was a 31-yard gain, I believe. There's a still shot out there similar to the still shot from Derrick Henry having a similar run in the wild card game last year, where you have like 10 Steelers defenders chasing after him as he's running loose right up the middle of the field. Terrible. Bills called a run play on 63% of their plays, fourth highest rate in a game since Josh Allen entered the league in 2018. James Cook, sixth most rushing yards under center by any player in a game this season. The Bills' offensive line, by the way, with two backup offensive tackles. Not sure if I mentioned that yet. We got to remember that this all happened to the Steelers' defense without their two starting offensive tackles. The Bills' offensive line created 138 yards before contact. Pittsburgh, 34 yards gained before contact. That is... I don't even have any adjectives or descriptors left to talk about here. It's all bad. Every single stat, it's wowing, it's mind-blowing, but at the same time, it's not all that shocking because, you know, we could see this stuff coming from a mile away, and we definitely saw it coming out of halftime last night. Will any of this change? Absolutely not, because Mike Tomlin will not make any adjustments. But even beyond that, the larger scale issue, and this guy's a loser too from last night's game and really turning to be a loser for the past couple of years. Art Rooney won't make a change. Hoping he does. Hoping he finally is able to hear the fans' voices. But Tomlin's still in charge. That is not going to change anytime soon. Mentioned Arthur Smith. He's another loser from last night. Just some stats on the offensive side of the ball. The Steelers finished with 166 total yards of offense. That is their third fewest total yards in one game offensively under Mike Tomlin. The only other times where they've had fewer yards in a game with Mike Tomlin at the helm, they had 163 yards against the Eagles last season and they had 127 yards of offense against the Tennessee Titans in 2010. In total, the Steelers' offense, with those 166 yards of offense, ran just 43 plays, had 18 minutes of possession time, what I said, and 7 points of offense. And you ready to hear something phenomenal here? That 166 yards of offense gained by the Steelers' offense, third fewest in Mike Tomlin's tenure that they've ever gained in a game. An offense led by Kenny Pickett and a offense coached by Matt Canada. Those two gentlemen combined, both whether they were, Canada with someone or Pickett on his own, both of those guys never had a day offensively that bad. We thought when Arthur Smith signed here for the Steelers, like, hey, you got a low bar already to clear to be a better offensive coordinator with compared to Matt Canada. Well, hindsight being 2020 now, looks like Mr. Arthur Smith is closer to Matt Canada than what we initially think. That goes for how the offense has been producing. That goes for personnel that you put out there on the field. Again, every freaking third down, Kenneth Gainwell's out there. Why Jalen Warren isn't, I don't know. And play calling, that has been just as big of a problem as it has been all season, and it really boiled over last night. Two plays in particular really stand out for me. I believe the Steelers were down by 2 scores, maybe 3. They were in a 3rd and 9 situation back in their own end of the field. And instead of putting the ball in the air at that point because you're down, they ran with Kenneth Gainwell on 3rd and 9. Picked up like 7 yards, punted it immediately after. Gotta love those 3rd and 9 running plays. Absolutely love that. And then the real dagger that really just pissed me off to no end last night. 4th and 2. Steelers have the ball, I think, at the Bills' 7-yard line. Darnell Washington, Spencer Anderson, the jumbo tight end package is in the game there. Kenneth Gainwell's in the game as well. What the Steelers did is they had Spencer Anderson, the backup swing tackle offensive lineman, lined up as a slot receiver. He was in a stance to run a route. And yet they had Jonnu Smith, the furthest man in towards the right tackle, Troy Fautanu, blocking. And they had Darnell Washington running out to the flat. And Jonnu Smith on that play, by the way, he was tasked with blocking only the best, I think, defensive lineman on the Bills team in Greg Rousseau. And it was a handoff to Kenneth Gainwell that predictably got blown up in the backfield for a loss of a yard. On 4th and 2, the most critical play of the game. At that point, 23-7 with a little over 10 minutes left to go. You maybe get a first down there, you score a touchdown, and maybe you squint and say, hey, we get a stop here. Maybe we have a chance to claw back into this game, make it interesting. Nope, the most confusing, idiotic, moronic, whatever description you want to use, play call of the season right there on display. Every single player, probably right personnel if you're going to run the ball, like right setup, but wrong guys in the wrong spot. Spencer Anderson should be the guy blocking Greg Rousseau. Darnell Washington should be lined up if he's going to run a route from the slot and then blocks a guy. Jonnu Smith should be the one going out into the flat. Jalen Warren should be in there if you're looking to power your way forward for 2 yards. Just every single part about that play was frustrating, and it's perfect representation of what the Steelers' offense has come to. We thought the Matt Canada era was over. It was only just writing a new chapter with Arthur Smith. Just wrapping up here, the extra losers from last night's game. Arthur Smith, Mike Tomlin, they're the 2 big ones. Steelers, second half defense, that's definitely a loser. I can go individually here by some guys and name them. TJ Watt, again, nowhere, not making big plays for $40 million. Had Josh Allen slip away from him a couple of times. 0 sacks, 0 quarterback hits, 0 tackles for loss from number 90 last night. $40 million what a waste that is quickly becoming. I think on one play even, I saw someone put out there, Josh Allen both broke away from TJ Watt and Alex Highsmith on the same scramble. And someone put out there, Josh Allen just broke $68 million or something like that worth of tackling. Just horrendous, cannot happen. Crossed the D-line, Cam Hayward, Keanu Benton, Y.A. Black, those guys didn't really show up at all, especially in defending the run, which I know we come on here and sometimes people put in the comments section, I would have drafted this guy over Derek Harmon. I think we can officially, after seeing that last night, lay off of Derek Harmon a little bit, because the defense, when he's in there, and the defense, when he's not in there, it is night and day difference. So Derek Harmon might be more of a critical role in this defense, in the run defense, than what we realize from a, fan point of view. Linebackers, not really much to give them credit for there. Nick Herbig, I guess, played decent. And then the secondary, it did what it did as the game went along. Had a couple of good plays, also had a couple of big gains against them, but the run defense was the main culprit last night. Mason Rudolph, he's definitely a loser. Comes in again for, I think, a total of 7 plays last night. Throws a pick again. Didn't know it was possible to overthrow a 6'7", 300-pound tight end, but he proved to us that that's possible. I do not want to, and that pass, by the way, in the triple coverage, looking for Darnell Washington. I don't want to see Rudolph the rest of the season. Please, for all that's holy, make Will Howard the backup quarterback, because the season, it's quickly going down the tube. Rudolph proves last night that he can't even be a good relief quarterback anymore. And if Rodgers gets hurt and the Steelers keep sucking, might as well see what you have in Will Howard. Some other guys here. I mentioned the video board crew at Acrisure Stadium. They're losers. Pat Freiermuth, he's another loser. Does anybody know where Pat Freiermuth is? $48 million to be on a milk carton. 0 catches, 0 yards, 0 targets for Freiermuth last night. I believe he was even out-snapped by Azezi Otememwo, a guy who's been a healthy and active for most of the year on the Steelers D-line. Just, tons of losers everywhere. They're all a bunch of losers for last night's game, and not even really all that worth spending any more time on. So everything sucked last night, and time to move on. But will they? No. It's just the way it is for some reason. 16 of you in here right now. Welcome to the live stream. On your way in, please hit that comment or hit that subscribe button. Turn on notifications. Like, share, leave a comment. Going to try to catch up on some comments here. You guys mentioning a whole bunch of stuff here. 45, I think I just saw comments since I last saw here. Jonnu Smith has a CPL TDs. Has a couple TDs, I think, at least one. I think 2. Jonnu Smith, but whoop-de-doo. He catches a touchdown every, 3-4 weeks. And then he goes MIA for 3 straight games. Just, I'm not giving Jonnu Smith any sort of benefit of the doubt here. TJ Watt stealing money at this point from Truth Fong. At this point, signing him to that $41 million contract. It is burning a big old hole in the Steelers' pockets right now, and you are not getting anything close to a return on investment there. Harmon was a great pick here from Mark Tobin. I don't care what his stats are. If he means that much of a difference just from the defense letting up maybe 75 yards rushing a game compared to over 100, then I'll take him in the lineup any day. If he's the cog that makes that defense better, then so be it. Catching up on some comments here. YA a rotational guy, but Harmon is a day 1 starter. Good 5th round pick, though. I do like YA Black. I do think he used the right way could be a good part of this defense moving forward, but as a starter, clearly not it. Played a bunch last night. Didn't make anywhere enough plays. True Thong here. Who the hell is 78 on the D line? That is, I believe, Broderick Martin Rhodes. Steelers brought him in a couple of weeks ago, off of waivers from Kansas City. Well, I think yesterday actually, or maybe it was last week against the Bears was his first time being active in the black and gold. So I don't blame you there. Artie has something against Muth here, says Truth. Artie, Rogers, who the hell knows? But yeah, Muth, unless he's playing the Cincinnati Bengals, Pat Fryermuth, he's just out there burning calories from his pregame meal, not doing anything production-wise. Don't even really notice him out there anymore. Tells you how well he's being utilized. Would like more big plays from a first rounder. Talking about, I believe, Derek Harmon. The big plays will come, but right now he's been better than anyone on the D-line, I believe, in stopping the run, and you just saw what happened without him. No one could even sniff or touch James Cook, let alone tackle him last night. Our D-line depth is all injured. Harmon, starter, hurt. Equale, Loudermilk are out. D-line clearly gassed and beat up. Still, though, no excuse going up against backup tackles and that you let up over 200 yards of offense to James Cook alone. Just can't happen. And even beyond James Cook, you had Ray Davis in there. I mean, that dude is an absolute burner for the Bills. He took off like a bat out of hell every time he got the rock. Josh Allen was scrambling all over the place, doing his best Houdini act. Just, I know they're hurt, but still can't have that terrible of a performance. Other teams, third stringers wouldn't be giving up that much. There are 2 sacks while missing half the season is good production from a rookie. Tape shows he was a great pick. Yeah, Harmon's passed the eye test. I believe, like you say, their concepts that the production will come. Looking up here at some of your older comments right here, talking about Rodgers and Tomlin. I believe the constant Rodgers overthrows are killing me. DK would have 1,000 yards, 15 touchdowns with a quality quarterback. Hate saying that as a Rodgers fan. I always like Dak, and he's proving me right about him. I think with Rodgers anymore, I'm not defending Rodgers in any way here, but I do say, it's a little column A, a little column B. Has he missed some throws that he 99 times out of 100 always hits throughout his career? Yes. But now that he's post-game calling out guys not showing up for film sessions, guys not making the right route adjustments when you call an audible, it's hard for me not to put that on Rodgers. DK, he's had a couple drops this year as well, so not absolving him of any sins here. But yeah, it's all bad. I don't think one guy is going to get put too much above the other here in terms of blame, Mark Tobin here, need to invest in an electric left tackle. That's not an option, or a wait and see. Broderick is not it. Would I invest in a left tackle in the draft? Maybe. Would it be a high pick? No, because I would like to, get a wide receiver, a big playmaker, maybe invest again on the D-line because Hayward's looking like he's, maybe got a year left in him or something like that. So left tackle, Broderick Jones, by the way, was going to save this for the extra Pittsburgh sports news, but I'm not anymore. Jones pretty much done for the season, placed on IR with a neck injury. Necks are a serious thing, so he's done. Steelers do need to make a decision to pick up his 5th-year option. I assume they are, and it's going to be a make-or-break year with Jones. I do think the Steelers, they may go with a mid-round, late day 2, early day 3 offensive lineman pick to maybe push Jones a little bit because they're going to see maybe how he did for the past couple of games, stretches at left tackle. They've seen a couple flashes of his potential at left tackle They might want to see one more year to see if he fully blossoms into the guy with high pedigree that they thought he would be. Back to the comment section down here. Again, defense held them to 12 points. Offense handed them 14 free points and a botched snap. Talking about last night's game or the Bears game. Defense held the or just talking about overall, held the Bills to 12 points. Yeah, offense gave them 14 free points off of turnovers. Agree with that. Lance 3-3 in here. Welcome back, Lance. $20 million is a fifth-year option cost for Jones. Okay, that putting that into consideration, Steelers then might just hold off on the fifth-year option. We'll see, though, because they aren't going to be investing a whole lot of money into the quarterback position, and they might cut back a little bit on defense. So that might be an option. Who knows? Steelers are, I think, still scheduled to have a ton of cap space next year in the offseason. I know it's fandom, but Broderick's injury made me hate Montez Sweat. Such an unfortunate injury. Yeah, odd-looking injury. Not sure what Montez Sweat was doing there, but I don't think he's, gonna come up with in his head, hey, maybe if I jump on this dude's neck while he's standing up, that'll injure him. I don't think, Sweat was thinking that. Just, yeah, like you said, their concepts, very unfortunate and fluky injury. Hopefully it's nothing too serious, but sounds like it's going to be a season ender. Hopefully he'll be good to go for next season. 11 of you in here right now in the chat, getting in your comments as always. Just real quick, gonna switch up gears here one more time tonight before we get into the extra Pittsburgh sports news segment. I'll get back to your comments on the Steelers here in a second. You guys can keep those rolling on in. For a moment here, gonna switch things over to some Penguins hockey. Penguins pregame on over here to my right. Puck drop against the Flyers coming up here in about 10 to 15 minutes. I do want to bring up the Penguins tonight because since we last talked on Friday evening in this setting, the Pens did play 2 more games. They were on the road against the Columbus Blue Jackets Friday night, and then they hosted the Toronto Maple Leafs on Saturday night at home. Just real quick on how they did against Columbus Friday night. Sidney Crosby, Chris Letang, Erik Karlsson, some milestone nights for those 3 gentlemen. Crosby got the scoring started for the Pens to make it 1-0 in the first period, putting home the puck. Chris Letang from the high slot finds Sid near the far post, and Sid one knee tap in. Seen him do that 100 times. Crosby and Letang on that play, they scored their 310th, or have combined on their 310th goal. They now trail only the forward defenseman duo of Wayne Gretzky and Paul Coffey for most duo goals in NHL history. Do Letang and Sid reach that mark? They'd probably have to play another 3 years maybe, because Coffey and Gretzky, they're up at 350. The Blue Jackets responded a couple minutes later in the first period with Sean Monahan. Overall, the first period for the Penguins, not a good one. Power play was looking really sloppy. Some individuals were not playing well. Penguins, another slow start for them on Friday night. That slow start carried over into the second period. Brian Rust, Evgeny Malkin, they collide. Puck gets turned over to Brendan Gaunce for Columbus. He buries it 2-1. Rust would exit the game for a little bit with a injury before returning. Chris Letang loses the puck behind the net, picked up by Charlie Coyle, puts it up high for Zach Rowensky, who just blasts it by Tristan Jarry from 40 feet. That goal came with 4 seconds left in the period, so that was outstanding to watch there. Third period, though, Pens, they did finally wake up. 13 seconds in, Brian Rust scores, makes it 3-2. Erik Karlsson with the assist on that goal tied Peter Forsberg for 8th most points among Swedes in NHL history, and he moved into 12th place on the NHL's all-time assist list by defensemen with 684. A little bit later on, about halfway through the third period, the Penguins did tie up the game. Sidney Crosby, again, making a hell of a play. The Blue Jackets rotating in the neutral zone. Puck picked up by Tommy Novak. He then gives a bank pass off the boards to Crosby. Sid races on in, is able to beat Jet Greaves under the armpit for the game-tying goal. Crosby on that goal, tying Dave Ondrechuk for 640 at 640 goals. That is tied for top 15 all-time on the NHL's goal list. By the way, Crosby at age 38 on pace for 53 goals this season, which is just woof. Keep saying that Sidney Crosby, he could be the Tom Brady of hockey and play till he's 45. And the way he's playing right now, it's only proven that to be more of a rational thought. Game then went to overtime, and it didn't take long. Penguins heading into this game against Columbus Friday night, they were 0 for 5 on overtime and shootout decisions. They finally broke their curse. Chris Letang finds the puck on his stick in the slot. Beautiful give and go with Tommy Novak. He then buries it on Greaves. Penguins win 4-3 on Friday night. Quick turnaround, though, for the Penguins, as on Saturday night, they at home against the Toronto Maple Leafs. Just carnage for them. Any good luck and production that the Pens put up the previous night immediately washed away by Toronto. Arturs Shalov's getting the start for the Penguins in this game. Oliver Ekman-Larsson made the early strike for the Leafs to make it 1-0. That was 9 points in 9 games for that veteran NHL defenseman. The Pens did respond, though. I believe this was on the power play. Ben Kindle, who recently got put back on the top power play unit, puck was knuckling in the air, and he just took a baseball swing at it and got just enough of it to flutter it up over the glove of Andrew Hildeby for the game-tying goal. That's now 2 out of the 3 goals on the season for Ben Kindle. They have come against the Toronto Maple Leafs. After that, it was all Leafs for the rest of the game. They went up 2-1 on a one-timer from Easton Cowan. That was the score after the first period of play. Second period, Bobby McCann makes it 3-1, and then Dakota Joshua made it 4-1 in short order. Arturs Shalov's pulled moments into the second period for Tristan Jarry. Sidney Crosby, game was 5-1 at this point. Sidney Crosby did pass Dave Ondrechuk to take sole possession of 15th place on the all-times goal list. Was able to get, wasn't a power play goal, excuse me. That was a even strength goal for him. So Crosby continues his goal-scoring prowess. Maple Leafs tacked on 2 more goals in the third period. Austin Matthews, Nick Robertson doing the damage there. 7-2, the final score Saturday night, Pens and Leafs. The Penguins in the month of November, we said it was a November to forget for the Pens. 4-5-3 to end the month of November. Horrendous hockey played by them. The record looked just as bad on the ice as the Pens record shows. So hopefully December has different fortunes in favor for them, because they get to start that climb out of this little bit of a hole they dug themselves into. Starting tonight, puck drop here moments away over to my right between the Pens and their hated rival, in-state rival, the Keystone Rivalry, the Philadelphia Flyers. Before we get to the game tonight, the Penguins did make a series of roster moves yesterday and today. last night. We mentioned it on stream during Steelers-Bills. The Pens sent down forwards Tristan Brose and Danton Heinen. You wondered, okay, what's that about? Are some guys coming back from injury? Turns out nobody has entered the lineup from injury. Instead, two other guys called up from the AHL. One guy, fans have been clamoring to get him back into the NHL as soon as possible. Rutger McGroarty, back in the NHL tonight. 4 goals in 5 games with the Wilkes-Barre Baby Penguins after starting the year with an injury. He will become the 10th rookie skater to appear for the Penguins in the lineup this year. That leads the NHL. Glad to have number 2 back in the lineup for the Penguins. Also, told you guys that this would happen. I believe I mentioned it last week. It is happening, I believe, tonight. Boko Amama also called up from Wilkes-Barre for this game here tonight against the Flyers. We remember not too long ago, Penguins, Flyers in Philadelphia. There was some ugliness, heated moments in overtime and at the end of the game. Now you bring up a guy who can hold his own, stand up for guys. I will be shocked if Boko Amama does not drop the gloves here tonight. That is why he got called up here, to set a tone and to finish some fights against the Flyers, who always look to bully the opponent. So excited to see those two guys in the lineup tonight. Head coach Dan Muse says Tristan Jarry will be in net tonight for the Pens. Top lines are the lineup for the Pens here tonight. No changes to the top 2 lines. Rutger McGroarty fills in on the 3rd line, an all-kid line for the Penguins tonight. McGroarty, Kindle, Koivunen. I believe McGroarty, he's 22 or 23. Koivunen in that range as well. And then you got 18-year-old Ben Kindle. So all kids on the 3rd line. Connor Dewar, Blake Lizotte, Boko Amama, the 4th line. Grinders there. No changes to the defense pairings, except that Connor Clifton, who's got more of a mean streak and fighting prowess than Matt Dumba, he slots into the lineup paired with Ryan Graves. So excited to see what comes of this game. They just went to commercial over here. Puck drop between the Pens and the Flyers coming up here in a moment, and it should be electric, and it's going to be heated, and we're going to see some action, maybe even off the hop here in this hockey game tonight. Excited to get it going. All right, ladies and gentlemen, before we get into the extra Pittsburgh sports news here this evening, do want to say, if you are new here, please hit that subscribe button on your way in. We'll mention that one more time before we log off here tonight. Before we get into the extra Pittsburgh sports news, just real quick, do we have any new things brewing on Twitter before we log off and before we do this extra news and log off for the night? Do we have anything new that has broken since we've been live? Indeed, the lineups are confirmed for the Penguins. No changes. See a couple of wide receivers on the move for the around the NFL. Elijah Moore, who was just let go of by the Buffalo Bills, he's visiting with the Denver Broncos, and Terrence Marshall, he is signing with the Eagles practice squad. So more wide receiver movement around the NFL that does not involve the Steelers. How typical that is. See if there's anything else here. More reactions I'm seeing everywhere of people calling out Mike Tomlin. The latest one that I see right here. Let me find it. Where'd it go? I believe it was Diana Rossini of The Athletic. Mike Tomlin is tired. One thing that sticks in my mind from my interactions with Mike Tomlin, he still has the love of football in him. That is without a doubt, but he's tired. He's tired. There is definitely something to him where you're like, man, you've been doing this a long time. So Tomlin still loves football. Does that sound like he's retiring, or does that sound more like what I'm thinking, that Tomlin is indeed the guy that long-term coach that's looking for a change of scenery? That I am going to bookmark, because I take a lot of stock in what Diana Rossini just said right there. So we will definitely keep an eye on that. Got the one earmuff out now to listening to the Pittsburgh Penguins game over here. As we wrap up the show here tonight, real quick, back to the comments section. Mark Tobin, got to pay another receiver or draft one. Definitely would go the draft route at this point. You're already paying big bucks to DK Metcalf. Don't want to sink any more money into that, because then you blink of an eye, you're going to have your wide receiver room looking like your defense, highly paid but underproducing. So I definitely draft one. Carnell Tate tickles my fancy. Would be interested in a Jordan Tyson from Arizona State, Casey Concepcion from Texas A&M, a couple of other guys around the league as well. So, yeah, definitely looking at the wide receivers in the draft coming up here this offseason. Concepts here again. Mike Tomlin hate his clickbait. The talking heads say whatever to get clicks, like Orlovsky, who is referenced earlier. Most of them are fake for money. I guess I'll bite, because at least they're changing their tone from, hey, Tomlin's a good coach, I don't know why Steeler fans are bitching he's not going to be let go of. Now they're changing it to, hey, Tomlin might actually be a guy that could have a change of scenery. So I'm going to take some credence in that. Do see the points you're making, though, their concepts. All right, ladies and gentlemen, extra Pittsburgh sports news here, wrapping up the night here on the channel. Going to get back into the Pittsburgh Steelers here just for a moment. Just some things from yesterday that I also wanted to bring up. Interesting, Darius Slay, healthy scratch for the Steelers yesterday, and Asante Samuel Jr., he got his first action in the black and gold. I thought Samuel did well for the little bit he played once James Pierre went down. Darius Slay, though, as a healthy scratch. At least that's one positive change that the Steelers made heading into yesterday's game. Speaking of, we just mentioned wide receivers. College report on where the Steelers were in some places this weekend, scouting college players. This from Alan Saunders of Pittsburgh Steelers Now. Steelers, they had a scout, at least one, at South Carolina versus Clemson over the weekend. Of course, two quarterbacks draft eligible to look at in that one. Lenora Sellers, who I love his traits, even though some people say he's the Anthony Richardson of this class. And Cade Klubnik, who was initially speculated to be one of the upper quarterbacks of this class. Turns out bad season from Clemson really put a damper on his draft stock. Did turn it around as the season comes to an end. So Steelers looking at those two guys. Steelers also had at least one scout at the Arizona State game over the weekend. Most guy to take note of there, Jordan Tyson, wide receiver for ASU, who has been outstanding this year. They have been to a couple of Arizona State games in the past, but should be noted that was when, I believe, Sam Leavitt was quarterbacking the Sun Devils. He suffering a season-ending injury a couple of weekends ago. Of course, it'd be malpractice if the Steelers did not scout the local talent as well, and who they were playing. Steelers had two scouts at Pitt, Miami, at Acrisure Stadium on Saturday. They also had a scout at West Virginia versus Texas Tech. Texas Tech, Miami, two teams that are making bids for the college football playoff. Excited to see who the Steelers are looking at in those matchups. Maybe defense. Alan Saunders here mentions edge Reuben Bain Jr. for the Hurricanes, which he just was a game wrecker against Pitt, like his game. And the last one here, the Steelers had a scout at the Iron Bowl between Auburn and Alabama. Of course, the most notable name in that, an easy one, Ty Simpson, who knows, maybe when it's all said and done, be a first-round pick, potentially even a top 10 pick. He, Fernando Mendoza, Dante Moore, those types of guys being mentioned near the top of the draft. Steelers taking a look at those guys. Switching things over here to hockey as the Penguins game is underway over here to my right. Happy birthday today to Pittsburgh Penguins forward Noel Acciari. He today, I believe, 35? 34, 35, somewhere in that range. His birthday, happy birthday to him. Get a look there at a guy who's way younger than him, Rutger McGroarty, his first shift with the Penguins this season going on over here to my right. Speaking of young guys like McGroarty, just a quick update on some Penguins prospects. I'm going to mention this guy more often here on the channel because he deserves it. Will Horkov. Remember that name, ladies and gentlemen, for your Pittsburgh Penguins, because Horkov now for the University of Michigan in the NCAA, leading all of college hockey in goals and points, 18 goals, 26 points. Horkov doing that in 18 games. He is on fire right now, the most dangerous player in all of college hockey, property of the Pittsburgh Penguins, who they drafted him 24th overall in this past year's draft. Horkov, by the way, congratulations to him, named to the preliminary roster for Team USA in the World Junior Championships. No doubt he is going to make that team, assuming he stays healthy. And wrapping up the extra Pittsburgh sports news here for today, first time today mentioning the Pittsburgh Pirates. Not all that much news on the Bucks over the weekend, though the news is about to pick up. The winter meetings between pretty much any who's who in the MLB executive branches of all the MLB teams. The winter meetings, they're set to take place and kick off next weekend. So you might see some movement, more movement there from the Bucks in many facets. One facet could be the coaching staff. The Penguins last week letting go of another coach in infield coach Mendy Lopez. The Pirates, they now have a vacancy for an infield coach, but Don Kelly told Colin Beasley of the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette that the Bucks could be adding potentially 1 to 2 more coaches compared to last year's staff for this year's staff. So I like it. Get more eyes and ears and opinions and thoughts in that clubhouse, in that dugout. I like it there. Last thing here on the Pirates today, I guess this is as close as you can get to an update on who the Pirates could be in this free agency cycle. We've heard many different players, but one thing that seems to be constant with everyone who is brought up being linked to the Pirates, got Ken Rosenthal and Katie Wu, who cover the MLB for The Athletic. They are reporting that the Pirates are casting a wide net on left-handed hitters, and that is very true. You go down the list of who all the Pirates have been linked to: Kyle Schwarber, Brendan Donovan, Nolan Gorman, Lars Nootbaar, those guys' trades. But besides Schwarber, pretty much everyone who's been linked to the Penguins, left-handed bat. They also threw in second baseman from the Tampa Bay Rays, Brandon Lowe, would seem like an ideal fit for the Pirates. So maybe the Pirates go infield shopping there. But interesting tidbit brought up there by Rosenthal. Let's just hope that the Pirates are willing to spend the money to bring in an upper echelon left-handed bat instead of another Jack Sawinski type player. That's all I'm asking. Just please, let's actually spend a little bit of money, bring in some real live bats for once. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I think that does it for the extra Pittsburgh sports news. Before we head on out of here for the night, just one last word here for Concepts. He gets the final word here tonight. Was wrong yesterday. Somehow the Ravens have the tiebreaker. That's all right. I didn't know. I thought you were correct as well, because I thought the Steelers had the better in-division record, but I did see last night on Sunday Night Football the Ravens are atop the North. That's all right. They're pretty much, not delaying the inevitable there. I think the Ravens are going to win this division, and the Steelers are going to be out of the playoffs. Pretty much 99% certain of that after watching last night's game, and I want to thank all of you for coming on here again. We sort of in real time were able to cope and talk things out together last night as the terrible events unfolded, and we got more off our chests here tonight, and I think we all feel a little bit better because of it. course, don't feel better about how the Penguins are or how the Steelers look in the present or long term, but it's better to get these feelings and thoughts out than to bottle them up and keep them on the inside. So I think that's good. So I want to thank you all for doing that, and thank you all for joining me here tonight on this Monday. Should be more fun ahead for the rest of this week. Starting tomorrow, we'll be back here again, recapping Mike Tomlin's press conference. I'm sure we're going to have tons to nitpick and criticize from that. We'll recap what all goes down in this Penguins-Flyers game, as the Penguins, they're about to go to the power play here, maybe. Hang on, they're letting them play on. All right, was a little confused by that. Sportsnet Pittsburgh popped up that there was a delayed penalty, but both teams had possession of the puck there, so nothing coming up. But yeah, tomorrow, back here again, recapping Mike Tomlin's press conference, recapping this Penguins game. We'll see if there's any heated moments like the last time these two teams met, and it should be another fun live stream with you folks here tomorrow night. That'll do it. For the final time on your way out, please hit that subscribe button. Turn on notifications so that you never miss a thing here on the channel. Up to 645 subscribers on the channel. Thank you to the new subscriber that we gained here during the nearly 2 hours we were live tonight. And on your way out, like, share, leave a comment after the fact. I can get back to you then. Go right now to Facebook, Instagram, and X. Drop the channel a follow there at Steel City SR. And tune back in later tonight for a new edition of SCSR 60. Thank you all. Have a good rest of your Monday night, even though things are bleak across all of Pittsburgh sports right now. We'll get through these dark times together, and hopefully sooner rather than later, we'll come out on the other side with brighter days ahead. But for right now, we'll continue to wallow in this darkness, but we'll fight through it together. Thank you all. Have a good rest of your Monday. Back here tomorrow for a Tomlin Tuesday recap and a Penguins game day recap. Peace.